you can draw this in Procreate. In this easy tutorial, I will show you how you can create this landscape inside a silhouette. We will be using free Procreate brushes only. You can download the brushes that I'm using through Free From Flow. And yes, it's absolutely free. You won't just get free brushes, but also color palettes, fun prompts, my ebook about color theory, plus access to exclusive video tutorials. And if you have already signed up through Free From Flow, then just check the weekly newsletter email. This is a super easy Procreate tutorial. I'm sure you can do this because I have developed these tutorials especially for those who have no experience with Procreate or drawing at all. Just follow the video all the way till the end. I will guide you through every step, and once you have finished your piece, be sure to share it on Instagram and tag me in the image. That way I will be able to find it and perhaps we'll see your work in the next video. Now let's get started. First of all, the canvas. It's 2300 pixels by 3000 pixels and the color profile is set to sRGB. And if you want to use the same colors as I'm using during this video, then you can download the color palette through the link in the description. First thing we'll do is go to the layer menu, that's the two little squares in the upper right corner, and click background color. And we'll pick this very dark first color in our color palette. And then we'll use a brush that can be found in the treasure chest through Free From Flow. It's the new Stag Head brush. We are going to select that and we are going to pick this color. That fifth color in the color palette. The opacity of the brush is set to 100% and the size is at 70%. And now we are going to drop this head right onto our canvas. So just click in the center of your canvas to place the head. And you can move it around by going to the arrow tool. Let me turn off snapping for now, and you can move it around until it's nicely placed, a bit centered like this, and then you can just click the arrow to get out of there again. Now let's go to the layer menu, click that layer 1 with the head on it and turn on alpha lock. Now we are only able to paint on the deer itself and not on that area with the checkerboard pattern. We are going to switch to the soft brush, which you can find under airbrushing. And we are going to create a gradient on our deer head. I have this brush set to 70% opacity. And let's set the size to 10%. We're going to start with a dark color. That's the second color here in the color palette. And we're going to start at the top, making that darker. Since we are using a low opacity, might want to make multiple strokes to make it nice and dark. Just color these antlers. Then you can switch to the third color for this lower area. And then we'll switch to the fourth color for that top part of the head and the lower part of the antlers. Go towards its snout. And I will switch to this yellowish color and we'll color that lower part. And just go a little bit above that nose, lightening up that area until you have something that looks similar to this. Then we'll go to the magic wand, that's the adjustments menu. Click Gaussian blur and set it to layer. Now you can slide to the right with either your pen or your finger to blur this layer and to make a nice smooth gradient. I'll go for something around 23.3% and then click the magic wand again. Now we are going to create some mountains. We are first going to make a new layer on top of this layer by clicking the plus, and we are going to set this layer to layer clipping mask. Click the layer, select clipping mask, And now, whatever we paint on this new layer will only show up on our silhouette. We are going to the calligraphy brushes and use a monoline brush. I have it set to 100% opacity and the size is at 12%. For the color, we are going to pick this first color right here. And we are going to start right here. Well, it's about halfway its nose. And we'll make a wobbly line going down to the right. And then we'll loop around here at the bottom and close our shape. And then you are able to fill it. Now when you fill it, you might need to adjust your color drop threshold. If you hold your pen in place and move to the left or right, you can adjust the color drop threshold. If it's too low, you might get a little light line around the edge. So you want to be just before that point where it fills the entire canvas. Now we are going to add some mist to this layer. We are going to grab the soft brush for that. And we are going to use this fifth color over here. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger. We'll go for 12%. And let's just glaze over this bottom area of that mountain. Adding a little bit of mist. And then we'll move on to the next one. We'll click the plus for a new layer. Set this to clipping mask as well. And we'll go back to the monoline brush. And we'll select this second color over here. We'll just move from left to right. And we'll make a little mountain. We'll start here underneath its chin. And we'll go up to the right, making a wobbly line again. And loop underneath to close the shape before you fill it. And again, we'll add some mist. So we'll go to the soft brush again under airbrushing. Pick that light blue again. And we'll just glaze over that bottom area, lightening that up a bit. And you don't have to go all the way to the bottom because we will be adding trees now. Let's create a new layer again. Click the plus. Use clipping mask again because we don't want those trees all over the canvas. And we'll go back to the treasure chest. And we are going to use the pine tree long brush. And for the color, we are going to use the third color over here. The opacity of this brush is at 100%, and let's turn down the size to 18%. And let's add some trees here. Just make some dabs. Go from left to right. And make sure that you place enough so we can add some of that mist to the bottom. So just covering this. I think this is looking good. Now we can switch to that soft brush again. So we'll go to the airbrushing brushes again, use the soft brush, set it to that light blue, and again make some horizontal strokes to add some of that mist. Then we'll create another layer. Click the plus again, click the layer, and use clipping mask. And then we'll use that tree brush again, that pine tree long. And we'll move to the fourth color. Now, of course, you can make all these mountains, mist, and trees on just one layer, but having multiple layers keeps you more flexible. That way, if you make a mistake, if you want to change something later, then you can always do that. So using these layers, it enables you to fix flaws later, move around trees, move around mountains. You can't do that if you have everything on one layer, but it would definitely be possible. Now let's add some mist again. Let's go to the airbrushing brushes, pick that light blue, and glaze over to add some of that mist again. Now let's make another layer. Let's click the plus again. Use clipping mask. And finally, let's go to the pine tree long brushes again and pick this fifth color now. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger. Go for 27%. And I'll put some bigger trees in front. Fill it nicely before you add some final mist. So we'll go back to the airbrushing brushes again. Pick that light blue and just glaze over that bottom, lightening that up a little bit. Alright, now let's go to the sky. Let's click layer 1. That's the bottom layer, and then click the plus for a new layer on top there. And we'll go to the luminance brushes and use the glimmer brush. Let me share my settings with you. If you go to shape, you can see that I have scatter set to max. And when you go to stroke path, you'll see that I have spacing and jitter set to max as well. Now for the color, we are going to pick this color over here, that very light yellow. And the opacity of this brush is set to 100% and the size is at 7%. And now let's add some stars here at the top in those antlers. And now because we have clipping mask turned on, these stars will only show up on our silhouette. And if you press harder with this brush, you will get bigger stars. And if you press lightly, you will get smaller stars. You won't go all the way to the bottom, just around the top of its head, until it looks something like this. Next we'll add a moon. Let's make a new layer for that as well. Let's click the plus, and for the brush, we will go to the calligraphy brushes again and use the monoline brush. We'll stick with this color and make a circle over here. Hold your pen in place to make it snap to a quick shape, and then tap one finger on your screen to make it snap to a perfect circle. I can drop in the color to fill your shape, and I feel like it's a bit too big, so we can just go to the arrow. Be sure that you have it set to uniform, and then use this handle to make it a little bit smaller, and you can move it around like this. And then click the arrow to get out of there, and let's duplicate this layer. Go to layer 8, slide to the left, and click duplicate. Now go to that bottom layer, then to the magic wand and pick Gaussian blur, set it to layer, and slide to the right to give your moon a nice glow. Let's go for 11%. And click the magic wand again. Now finally, I want to add some mist-like clouds to our scene. Let's create a new layer for that as well. I'm going to put it on top of our moon. So first click layer 8 here, then click the plus for a new layer. And we are going to use the selection tool to create these clouds. So click the S shape ribbon and set it to freehand. We're going to start here near its ear. Make some shapes. And over here. Be sure to close each selection every time until you have something like this, some random shapes. And then we'll go to the brushes and use the airbrushing brush, the soft brush. And we will go over this area and the paint will only show up inside of our selection. Let's go over these clouds until you have something similar to this, then click the S shape ribbon. And you can also go to the layer menu, click that N, and play around with the opacity here. You can use the slider, turn it down a bit until you are at 55%. And there you have your landscape in a silhouette. I hope you have enjoyed following this tutorial. If you did, then do be sure to check out the other You Can Draw This video tutorials as well. There's a whole bunch of them. Or go and take a look at my Patreon page, where there are a lot more Procreate tutorials ranging from beginner level to more advanced levels. I will see you next week for the next You Can Draw This.